On today's show, we head to Kingston to learn about birdwatching and conservation and talk about upcoming things to do in our South Shore towns. You can get the bad news in lots of places. On the local scene, it's all about what's good and good to know. I'm Elizabeth. Let's get started. Bill Salvatel has an interesting story. A man who has advocated for the homeless for much of his life. He is also an author, a yoga instructor, a humorist, and a senior. A humorous take on navigating life over 60 is the topic of Bill's one-man show, Stories of the Grey Gang, a comedy performance. And you can laugh along at the Duxbury Senior Center on Thursday, May 4th from 4 to 5 p.m. The event is free with the donation of a non-perishable food item to benefit the unhoused. To register, visit the Duxbury Senior Center website or call 781-934-5774. We went on the local scene to Kingston to talk to conservation agents Matthew Piniella and Mike Perrin about what there is to see and protect at Camp Nikon.
I'm Matt Piniella, conservation agent for the town of Kingston.
I'm Mike Perrin. I'm the Assistant Conservation Agent for the town of Kingston.
And we're here today at Camp Nikon. This is a great conservation area in the south of Kingston. It's about 250 acres running between Rabbith Road and Monks Hill Road.
So today we'll be taking a walk around Camp Nikon, pointing out some really great parts of the ecosystem here. It consists of a lot of coastal plains pine barrens, which is a globally rare ecosystem, and some birds that go along with that ecosystem. So we'll see a good mix of migrants, which are birds that are coming up from the south. A lot of them came about 2 weeks ago, and are either just passing through the area or setting up shop, establishing territory and finding mates. But also we have birds that hang around year-round here. So we'll just kind of point those out. We'll do a lot of birding by ear. Birds are oftentimes hard to find this time of year. And we'll talk a bit about mnemonics, which are ways to remember bird songs, phrases, and rhythms. All right, let's go for a walk.
So here you see we have one of the old gates. Camp Nikon was purchased roughly 50 years ago from the Girl Scouts. And in that 50 years, the property was wide open and a lot of people were driving around in there. Off-road vehicles, jeeps, trucks, causing a lot of erosion. You'll see a little bit as we go through there where there's a lot of rutting and puddling. And we have vernal pools that were filling up with sediment. When I started working here, one of my first goals was to curb that. We were able to hire a welder to extend this gate right here so that it would lock again and install 2 more gates on 2 of the main access roads. And the reason for gating as opposed to blocking it off is to make sure the fire department can get in. This is an area where fire risk is concerning. So we were able to get this area gated off now. We're working hard to block off any side entrances and just keep people from using the property for the wrong reasons. So here we have one of the sites that's been heavily impacted by off-road vehicle use. You can see there's a fire pit down the bottom of the hill, and there's an area where people were driving, probably Jeeps, trucks, and ATVs all the way up the sides of the hill and coming down the middle or vice versa. And you can see there's about 4 or 5 feet of erosion on that cut, and all the sand has come down the hill right here. And what's happening is sediment from there and contaminants from the fire pit area are now running over to here, which is Rocky Pond. Rocky Pond is what they call an Atlantic coastal plain pond. And that's a globally rare habitat type. It's not really found many other places on Earth. And you have rare plants and animals that use that habitat type that are now going to be affected by sediment and contaminants filling this pond. And we have several other vernal pools in here that are being filled up with sediment by off-road vehicle use from them going up and down the hills.
Yeah, so a couple of the bird species that we'll talk about today are pine warbler as well as the ovenbird. These are two different species of wood warblers, and they really rely on these pine forests. So without these pine forests, these birds traveling back up to Massachusetts from Central and South America wouldn't have a place to nest, they wouldn't have a place to set up territory. So their numbers in Kingston would go down, and the birds are already having a tough enough time across the country. Matt and I are out here protecting these areas and making sure that they continue to have these opportunities in Kingston. So while we were walking here, we saw a bright orange and black bird fly over. I knew that as the Baltimore Oriole. The Baltimore Oriole gives out a really sing-songy, whistly, chattery song. And when we looked up, we actually saw a female go into the tops of the trees with a little bit of string in her beak, probably some bark or something like that, and building a nest. So we had the great opportunity to see a female Baltimore Oriole making a nest around here. The male was not far behind. Some other birds that we've been hearing while we're walking, chipping sparrows, is the eastern towhee. And yeah, the eastern towhee is a really great species for this part of Kingston. They're ground feeders, so they're oftentimes scraping around the understory of these coastal plain ecosystems. So that's an ovenbird. People call it the excited student bird. It says teacher, 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 teacher. That parabolic trill, so it starts low, gains higher, and then comes back lower again. That's a pine warbler. One of our first migrants to show up in Massachusetts. They'll set up shop here all summer. We have a tufted titmouse saying, Peter, Peter, Peter. And that's a really common backyard bird that you can find at a lot of bird feeders and find them year round as well.
So we're here at one of the vernal pools at Camp Nikon, one that we actually surveyed recently that passes all the qualifications to be a certified vernal pool because we were able to find breeding evidence of spotted salamander and wood frog in here. And what vernal pools are, they're confined basins that fill up with water that typically dry out during some point in most years, or at least occasionally, enough that you don't have fish present or larger predatory amphibians. So they're really important features for them to be able to breed, in turn feed the whole food chain, essentially what they call the trophic cycle. Young salamanders and frogs feed all sorts of other species up the chain. So maintaining healthy vernal pools is important for all your local ecology.
One of the bird species that uses vernal pools for feeding, we have two raptor species that use it, red-shouldered hawks, as well as barred owls. Owls are everyone's favorite. The barred owl has a really fun mnemonic. It says, "Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all?" So those birds will hang around vernal pools and try to catch frogs and snakes as they're coming in and out of the pools. So Matt was talking about those trophic levels. We have the insects that get eaten by the amphibians that then get eaten by the birds. So if you're interested in learning more about birds, one of the great resources that I recommend to people is the Merlin Bird ID app. You can download it on any smartphone. It is through the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, and they provide different bird packs for different regions of the United States and of the world. And you can find there photos of birds, audio of birds, and it actually has a feature where it'll help you walk through the identification process. So it'll ask you what is the date, where are you seeing or hearing this bird, what colors were it, how is it behaving, and it will actually create a list of birds that you might be seeing or hearing. So another way to learn more about birds in Kingston is by joining the birding programs that the conservation and recreation departments put on. If you want to learn more about birds directly through me, you can find my email on the Kingston Conservation website, and I'm more than happy to field any questions about birds, what's going on in the bird world in the area, audio clips, photos. Makes my day whenever anyone sends me one of those.
The Duxbury Community Collaborative invites you out to see Duxbury on Saturday, April 29th, in a series of events happening from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. all over town. You and your family can sample and experience the nature, history, art, sports, and culture that Duxbury has to offer. Among the activities are Duxbury Bay Maritime School's open house with races and an open marine science lab for kids. Join the salty trio of rum-soaked crooks at the Alden House for a musical salute to Duxbury's maritime history, and explore the new dune and beach restoration area with a dune debut walk guided by DBR staff and project engineers. It's open farm day at Bay Farm Montessori, when you can say hi to the animals and make a potted plant craft. Learn the history of the Powder Point Bridge at the Duxbury Senior Center, and stop by the Art Complex Museum for family activities on the museum grounds. Celebrate Duxbury all day with this inaugural event by the Duxbury Community Collaborative. Visit cduxbury.org for a schedule and complete list of participants. Add another layer of well-being to your yoga practice by taking it outside with the Kingston Parks and Recreation's Yoga in the Park program, held in the grassy area at Grays Beach. Running on 4 consecutive mornings from May 20th to June 10th, instructor Tori Best will help enhance your practice of mindful movement. Yoga practitioners of all levels and abilities are welcome. Sign up for all or just one session. Please bring your own mat, towel, or blanket to support you in your practice. To register, visit the Kingston Parks and Recreation Department website or call 781-585-0533. Phenology is the study of cyclic and seasonal natural phenomena, and birdwatching grants us insight into how patterns in weather, climate, and shifting habitats affect which birds we see when in our favorite spots for watching them. On Thursday, May 11th from 8:30 to 10:30 a.m., visit the Tidmarsh Wildlife Sanctuary for the Mass Audubon program, Birds as a Pathway to Phenology. Wear sturdy walking shoes and bring binoculars if you have them. If you don't, there will be extras to share. Register at massaudubon.org. The Pilgrim Festival Chorus is excited to present one of its largest and most majestic undertakings yet, Handel's Israel in Egypt. 80 singers will be joined by an 18-piece orchestra in 2 not-to-miss performances happening on April 29th and 30th at St. Bonaventure Parish on State Road in Plymouth. To learn more and get your tickets, visit pilgrimfestivalchorus.org. If you're into science, you'll want to know about the Duxbury Free Library's new book club for adults. The Science Saturday Book Club will focus on the discussion of popular science books, beginning with Rachel Carson's iconic treatise, Silent Spring. Released in 1962, Silent Spring sounded the alarm on the negative effects of chemical pesticides and is considered the book that started the global grassroots environmental movement. The first Science Saturday takes place on May 13th from 11 a.m. to noon in the library's Landman Room. No registration is required. To learn more, visit the Duxbury Free Library website. If you could know exactly when you were going to die, would it change the way you live? This is the premise for first-time author Nikki Ehrlich's book, The Measure, which is the subject of Pembroke Public Library's May Book Club discussion. This is sure to be a thought-provoking and intense conversation. Book Club meets on May 2nd from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. For more information, visit the Pembroke Public Library website. The beautiful 126-acre Foothills Preserve at 85 Beaver Dam Road in Plymouth is the setting for Plymouth Public Library's self-guided story walk. Featuring the children's book Over and Under the Pond by Kate Mesner, this 1.5-mile loop around restored cranberry bogs is dog, stroller, and of course, kid-friendly, and will be an added experience of the preserve from April 18th through the 18th of May. Learn more on the Plymouth Public Library's Facebook page or call 508-830-4250. The Lee and Friends Puppet Show is back at the Kingston Public Library. On Friday, May 5th at 11 a.m., children up to age 5 will love singing songs with Newton and his puppet friends and listening to some special puppet story times. At the end of the show, the kids are invited to say hi to Newton and play with some of his friends during a session of puppet free play. Registration is required. Visit the Kingston Public Library website. And that's what's good and good to know on the local scene this week. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. We are grateful for your attention. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe to the local scene here and share everywhere. Thank you, friends.